Hello YouTube. Today we're going to talk about emulation with consoles. In my previous video I discussed and if you're going to use Android boxes as your primary emulation, and now we're going to talk about consoles emulation. The console emulation is pretty much hacked hardware, soft modded or mod chips or whatever. Like you can use it with Xbox 360 and PS3, but I'm not going to cover that since it's hard and there's still updates for it. So the emulation is probably going to fail or get patched up. But with these systems, there is no more updates, system updates. So we're going to talk about, and this is also the common ones for this kind of task. The Xbox was pretty much the first one. I don't quote me on that, but it was the first mainstream console to get like emulation with the mod chips. Now you can soft mod the Xbox. It's much easier than to solder in a chip. So, but it's still kind of some stuff you need to learn how to get the programs and the files on your hard drive. The hard drive is also limited to 8 gig of internal storage if you not change the internal storage. This one was bought at a flea market for like 20 euros, and my friend helped me to get the emulators inside of the systems and my backup ROMs that I own. Things I also had to replace the thermal paste and some internal components, and all in all I spent it came with the controller and all the hookups. So all in all I spent like 30-40 euros to get it started. This one, on a scale 1 to 5, I would sadly rate it at like 4, since it's very technical, and 4 is pretty hard, 5 is the hardest. So, but it's super cheap. You can get systems really cheap. Almost sometimes people give them away. So any issues, there might be the limited hard drive space. You really have to think about what games you want to put on your system, or you need to have your hard drive replaced, or get a system that already is modded with a bigger hard drive. So that might be some issues. Also, the original Xbox controller can be a bit not suited for the tasks, and emulation overall is really good. There might be some video stuttering, but other than that, it's really, I think it's really good. So it's any issues, maybe it might be that you can only hook it up with like maximum component like the Wii, but we're going to talk about that soon. But for like an easy quick way to get started, if you know what you're doing or the system is already modeled, it's a really good budget console to use. I cannot really think of anything else. The system is very noisy, so be prepared that this system is gonna sound a lot, and even if you have replaced the fan like I have, it's still very noisy, so have that in mind. So, but all in all, it's really good. Let's talk about the Wii. The Wii had its last update was the 4.3, and it was released a couple years ago. So this system is pretty much safe. You can pretty much soft mod it for any versions. Things to think about here is some of the system has a mod chip inside, so be careful with that, and because there can be some compatibility issues and stuff like that. So try to find one that is already pre-modded. That might cost a bit more, like 80 euros in some worst cases, or you can buy them used, pretty much original, for like 40. I think I paid for about 45 or 50 for this one, and it's had mod chips inside, and it got the latest version 4.3, and that's also recommended for getting started, so you have all the updates and stuff like that. On a scale 1 to 5, I would consider this about 3.5, and 5 is the hardest. So there is some great tutorials, step by step, exact step by step how you're supposed to do this. But you have to just check it out by yourself. Also try to find one with the GameCube port so you can play GameCube games. The biggest advantage with this system is that you can play NES, SNES, Sega, and all of these kinds of retro systems, as well as GameCube and Wii games. So this one is pretty much almost the ultimate system to use. Nintendo 64, I consider it really bad. It doesn't really run very well, so things that might making this a bit more expensive is that if you have a soft modded, you have to add costs like SD card. It uses only special kinds, only certain kind of USB works as well, so you have to search for that. It can be a bit tricky. Controllers, you can use like the May Flash adapter to original controllers. That works fairly well. I think it was pretty much spot on. So you can use classic controllers. So the classic controller works really well. So that's a great one. You can only use like there are some HDMI adapters for it, but it's pretty much your component video. Just it's carried through components. So and any other things, but getting started with Wii and controllers and stuff like that, you are pretty much looking at, it's hard, but it varies, but you can say something about $80 with or what, 80 euros, I mean, depending on what system you can find, what kind of controllers it got and stuff like that. Emulation overall is good. It's like, I think it's like small, like video stuttering sometimes, but overall it's really well made. And since you can play the GameCube and the Wii games, that works perfect. So it's just you just have to spend some time with both of these if you're going to get them up and running. But if you buy them pre-modded, it's fairly easy to just add stuff later. So and also remember, you can also soft mod and hard mod chip PlayStation 2s and stuff like that. So it's not just only the Xbox and the Wii, but these two are the like most common ones. So that's why I'm covering them. So if you have any questions or want to share your experience or a video, please do so, and thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.